listeners, and welcome to Cobbs Corner. I'm your host, Morgan Cobbs. Today, we're going to be reviewing a film that a lot of us Marvel fans forget is a part of the MCU. This film is, in my opinion, probably the most forgettable of the MCU films. Today, we're going to be talking about the 2008 film, The Incredible Hulk. This was the origin story for the Hulk and Bruce Banner, who was played by Edward Norton in this film. Edward Norton, best known for his roles in movies like American History X and Fight Club. The film follows Banner's journey as he searches for an antidote to what he considers to be a disease of turning into the Hulk. So we'll be doing a deep dive into that today. Stay tuned. So The Incredible Hulk starts off following Bruce Banner in Brazil as he's looking for an antidote to his disorder, which is turning into the Hulk. At this point, he views himself as a monster and views the Hulk as a disease. At the same time, he's hiding from the US government. One day, while he's working in a bottling factory, some of his blood ends up falling into one of the glass bottles. Like he gets cut and some of his blood ends up in one of the glass bottles, which then ends up getting shipped over to the United States. The person who drinks the beverage ends up passing out from gamma poisoning. This is brought to the attention of Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, a general in the U.S. Army, who is the father of Bruce's love interest, Betty Ross. So Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, or Thunderbolt as I'll refer to him going forward, puts together a team to fly down to Brazil and apprehend Bruce Banner. But then they miss him and he turns into the Hulk and gets away. After traveling through South and Central America, he makes his way to Culver University in Virginia, where he meets Dr. Betty Ross after all these years and after he had to flee to South America to escape from the government. It's established that the Hulk's origin in the MCU is the result of the replication of a super soldier serum developed during World War II by someone named Dr. Reinstein. Unfortunately, this super soldier serum could not be replicated. Banner attempted to replicate it using gamma radiation, and as they say in the film, either something went terribly wrong or something went very right. And that's how he became the Hulk. In the second act, he comes face to face with the scientist who went by the code name Mr. Blue, and finds out that Mr. Blue, with the blood sample that Bruce sent him, replicated all of Banner's blood, and he wants to use it to cure diseases, while the government just wants it as a weapon so they can replicate it. They want to weaponize Bruce Banner's blood. Bruce is caught in the middle of this, and he just wants to get rid of it. In the third act, there's a brawl between the Hulk and Abomination, who was created by giving Emil Blonsky, Russian-born English military personnel, spec ops soldier, a dose of the replicated blood sample. Blonsky was a part of the team that Thunderbolt took with him to Brazil to capture Bruce. Blonsky becomes the Abomination. The serum does not change anything that is inside of the person. It only amplifies what's already inside. Good becomes great. Bad becomes worse. We're going to see this come up again in a future film. And again, the serum is a failed attempt at replication. A brawl ensues on Harlem 125th Street. It kind of didn't feel earned. It felt like the climax was a bit rushed. But the brawl happens, and then Hulk escapes and turns back into Bruce Banner, and he's able to keep in contact with Betty Ross. This movie is just one of the most forgettable MCU films because it has a lot of characters that we never really see or hear from ever again. Only one who shows up in later films is Thunderbolt Ross. His daughter Betty does not show up again, and her boyfriend, a psychiatrist played by Ty Burrell, never shows up again either. This film has a whole different tone than all the other MCU films. It just kind of feels out of place in comparison to the rest of the MCU. Maybe it's because this film was made by Universal Studios and stars Edward Norton as Bruce Banner instead of Mark Ruffalo, and we're all just so used to seeing Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner. Overall, the story arc for the Hulk is him going from an erratic beast to a focused and aimed beast, aimed chaos. Now Hulk is able to aim his rage and attack the villain instead of just attacking anyone. Again, the villain was created by the army who wanted to take Bruce and experiment on him in the first place. Definitely a different tone even from Iron Man, which is the only film that we've covered so far. A different tone than that of Iron Man and all the future MCU films. So this film is kind of on its own. It's a really different tone from all the other films. In this film, the post-credit scene happens before the credits. In this scene, we see Thunderbolt Ross at a bar, and he's approached by none other than Tony Stark. Stark says how Banner is the key to the team that they're putting together, and we don't know yet who's putting this team together. We're not sure. Overall, the only real impact that this film had on the MCU was Hulk's origin story. Mark Ruffalo was the original choice for the film, not Edward Norton. The director, Louis Leterrier, wanted Mark Ruffalo, but then Edward Norton was planted in there by Marvel Studios. Honestly, this is definitely one of the worst Marvel films, in my opinion. I'd love to hear from you guys. Where does The Incredible Hulk land in your tiers of MCU films? Is it S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, or D tier? I personally think it's a D tier film. That said, if you want the full story of the MCU, you have to watch this film. Although it's not a movie night go-to for me. That's all I got to say on The Incredible Hulk. Don't forget to like this episode, share it with your friends, tell a friend to tell a friend, subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Follow me on Instagram at future_mechanical_engineer. Follow Cobbs Corner on Instagram at Cobbs_corner_podcast and on Twitter at Cobbs_corner. The next film that we have in our lineup is Iron Man 2. This film follows Tony Stark, who we met in the first Iron Man movie, as he is face to face with new antagonists played by Mickey Rourke and Sam Rockwell. So stay tuned for that review. I will talk to all of you in the next episode. Thanks for listening.